Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to make up the dog Christmas hat, the elf hat, and attach it to the neck cowl. So when you've finished making your hat, you need to thread a tapestry needle or a yarn needle and thread it through the remaining stitches that are left on your knitting needle. Once you've done that, cinch the top of the hat. You can turn it over so that the wrong side is facing you and the right sides of the edges of the hat are going to be seamed together. So you cinch the top and then start to do the mattress stitch to close and seam the hat. So this hat needed to be knit flat because you're going to seam the cowl into the hat so that that can fit over the dog's head and onto their neck, and they can pop their face through the opening of the hat. So continue to seam using the mattress stitch until you get to a certain point, and then you'll be able to fit your hat into the opening. Now you have to gauge that when you get so far down, so you could do around a few inches and then you can fit the cowl in and see where you need to stitch up to. So continue seaming for now. Okay, so when you've done a few inches of seaming, get the cowl that you made in the green colour, yarn A, and seam any loose ends that you have on that, and you should have a length left for seaming into the hat. So we're going to fit it into the hat and stitch around the opening. So you need your tapestry needle, your yarn needle, and you can seam the brim of the hat folded over. So if you fold that brim over and then start seaming from this side, so we can kind of bind that closed. So thread the tapestry needle, and once the brim's folded, just put a few stitches to keep that into place. And you can do the same on the other side. And then use the mattress stitch to close that seam, so the brim of the hat is closed together. So now that you have this opening, we need to seam the neck cowl into that opening so that it'll sit right on when the dog is wearing it. So begin by putting your needle through a section on the hat and then catching a section on the cowl, and so it's effectively the mattress stitch, only you're seaming the cowl into the hat. Make sure that you are stretching the cowl as you do this so that it's not too tight when you go to place it onto your dog's head and when it sits on their neck, because it is in ribbing, so it has a stretch. So just make sure that you're pulling that stretch out a bit when you're seaming, so it's still stretchy, if that makes sense. So continue to seam it into the hat. And stretching it out as you go. It's a little trickier when you're doing the the turn there into that corner, and feel free to stretch it out as much as you can. You may need to undo some of the mattress stitch that you've already done in the hat to accommodate the stretch of the neck cowl. Make sure that it is quite stretched. I probably didn't stretch it enough. It could have been a bit more stretchy. When my dog wears it, it does feel a little tight, so I think I'll have to undo that and stretch it out a little wider for him to wear. So continue with the mattress stitch on the other side until you get to the end. When you get to the end there, just keep going and it'll fit neatly into the underside where the brim is. So you can close that gap with the mattress stitch and then into the brim of the hat, just to close that hole. And once you've done that, you can secure that end of yarn and make a knot on the inside, on the wrong side, just to finish that off, and then you can weave in any loose ends. So once that's done, just close any gaps you may have left on the underside of the hat. So, and test if it's stretchy enough. You might have to undo it and do it again so that there's more stretch in the neck. When you're happy with it, you can continue to close the seam that's left on the other side of the hat. Weave in any loose ends and tidy those up and secure with a knot. The last step that you need to do is to attach a pom-pom onto the end of the hat. So if you have your pom-pom ready, you can thread one of the ends that you've left with a yarn needle and push that through the end of the hat. Can be a little tricky to get that through. And then push it back out and through the pom-pom a few times until the pom-pom is securely into place. Then you feel free to trim the pom-pom into shape before or after you've stitched it on, and you give it a bit of a haircut and round it off as best you can, and yeah, tidy it up. So once you've done that and all the ends have been woven in, then the hat is ready to wear. So you place the cowl over the dog's head and through the opening of the hat, and then the dog can wear it comfortably. So if you'd like to see the full pattern, do check the link in the description. The pattern with all of the information for the materials and everything else is in there. There's also a bunch of sizes from extra small to extra large that you can make. I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial and that it's been helpful for you. Thanks for watching.